Hey, what is going on? What is up? What is up? How is everybody doing out there? It's been a couple of weeks since I have seen your lovely faces, or since you have seen mine. I have been traveling. I'm on the West Coast, coming to you straight from Albuquerque, New Mexico tonight, where I am visiting with my family out here, and I just had to take a little reprieve and come out and handle some business. But I am here. I have not gone anywhere. I shall not leave you nor forsake you. I have a great show in store for you tonight. We are going to talk, fam. Tonight, we are going to talk about some serious issues. It's time to have a come to Jesus meeting with the African American diaspora. We're going to talk about economic violence against Black people in this country, the inequitable, racial, and racist motivated economic violence against Black people. We're going to touch a little bit on what's going on in Mississippi, in case you're not paying attention to what's going on out there. People barely have water. People are running their faucets, even on the nice side of town. Barely got water in Jackson, Mississippi, another majority Black city in the South. We call that environmental violence because those people don't even have their basic utilities. And we're just going to get deep into it. I have a special guest coming on. Is Dr. Teray, from legendary professor from Savannah State University, straight out of Savannah. We're going to talk about a real life scenario that is happening on the ground in Savannah, Georgia. Y'all, Savannah is going to become very significant. In fact, it is very significant. More enslaved Africans were traded through Savannah's Wall Street of the slave trade. A lot of people don't know that. They keep that hush. They do a good job about that. But we're going to bring Dr. Jamal Teray here on in a second. We're going to talk about what Black elected leaders should be doing when Black people put them in office. Do you think that they need a Black economic agenda, even if it's a majority Black city? Hell yeah. Listen, I want you to sit tight, sit right with me. I'm going to bring on my guests. We're going to have a good show tonight. Put your comments in the comment and I'll try to answer your questions while we're on the air. But listen, I'm Air Scott. This is the Air Scott Hour, and me, just like you, just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Hey there, Dr. Teray. How are you?
Doing great, sis. Doing great. Glad to see you. Glad for the support the other night, too. So, bam, since you're in New Mexico doing your thing in New Mexico.
That's what's up. I'm out here in Albuquerque. I actually took a trip to Roswell, me and my daughter and one of her friends, and we went to the International UFO Museum. You got to do it.
Right.
Yeah, and as DOD and military members, we got in for real cheap, so it was worth the $3. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. The folks are coming on. Used to watch Netflix on Saturday. That's right. There's Julius. That's our boy Julius. The show should be straight fire. Yeah, we plan on it. So what the hell is going on, Dr. Teray? You're one of my favorite people. I'll run out there and take a bullet for you. We were so protective of you. For those of you who don't know Dr. Teray, and I'm going to let him introduce himself in just a minute. Dr. Teray is a historian. He is a Gullah Geechee heritage and culture historian. If you ever come to visit Savannah, I don't even let none of my family and friends go on nobody's tour, but it's day clean tours. So if you ever come to Savannah and you want a real authentic Black history tour, it's not only because he's a college professor, it's not only a great tourist event. You learn a lot. Listen, I learned so much. I feel I'm ready to go for my Africana Studies Masters now. But tell the audience a little bit about you, Dr. Teray.
Brother Jamal Teray, straight from Savannah and Hilton Head Island. People go back long ways. I tell folks about the origins. A part of the origins of my family is tied to a proud Mende Oman, a woman out of Sierra Leone, and a proud Yoruba man out of Nigeria. So that's a part of the origins. And we live it. We do. People just, this brother asked me, like, where does it all get started? I say it's tied to family. So I always try to represent for the family. That's what it's about. family through blood, family through the journey of life. And so, bam, we make connections and we look out for us. That's what it's about. We
That's
miss
right. Well,
we miss no words about that. We look out for us and we stand up for us. I tell folks we don't have no fear, no fear, man or woman. We love God, so that's why we go forward.
that's why we go forward. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you again for agreeing to come on tonight. I want to kick the show off tonight with I want to just share with you, family, what's going on. And this is not just. I don't want to just call out. I want to call out Savannah and Savannah's elected leaders first, but this is going on all across the American South. This is going on all across the American South, you guys. This is rooted. This is deep rooted, long racism. It's been a long time. Here's one of our versus saying Maynard Jackson had a black economic agenda for Atlanta. It seems to have worked out. You're absolutely right, Jeremy Sands. It seems to have worked out. When Maynard Jackson, real quick, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but when Maynard Jackson got elected, he said he was going to make 100 new black millionaires. He said it emphatically. I've heard that 1,000 times. And guess what he did? He set out to reform the city of Atlanta's minority purchasing program. And I heard from some of the legends that are still out there in Atlanta, Tommy Dortch and some of those guys, they said it was a fisticuffs, but they got it done. They didn't want to call it the black this. Black folks have been scared to name things black in the South. This is recent. When I moved to the South for the first time in 2011, we had to people wanted to call things urban and people, there was only one thing in Savannah that was the Black Heritage Festival. And I said, what are y'all afraid to call things black? This whole even naming ourselves culturally has just come about in the last decade. I mean, black folks have been afraid because if you're too black, the white folks will come for you. That's a fact. I'm from California and I didn't know. I spent my first few years in the South feeling almost guilty that my more recent ancestors. Now, of course, I originated from the South. We hail from Louisiana, Mississippi, and then by way of Kansas City, Kansas. After they ran my great great grandfather out of Vicksburg, because the Klan came to his door, said he was a smart nigger because he figured out how to circumvent the sharecropping debt and make a profit. He figured out a formula. He was a mathematic genius, and they didn't like that. They ran him out of there. So, that's my family has deferred and destroyed black generational wealth because they owned a store about 100 acres, and he had to leave with the clothes on his back. Now, that's what black economic violence looked like back then. But today, and I'm going to hush in a minute because I want to hear from you, Dr. Toure. Today, we're going to talk about what modern day black economic violence looks like. So here's a brief synopsis, and we're going to use the city of Savannah as a test case. The city of Savannah has a publicly funded sports arena project to the tune of $165 million. This is funded by public monies now. They raise the money through what's called SPLOST, which is a special purpose local option sales tax, where they put a penny onto all the things that you purchase, anything that's taxable. And in the South, every darn thing is taxable. Whatever you buy, any tangible retail good gets hit with an extra penny to fund these public improvement and capital improvement projects. Now, these things are supposed to be a benefit to the municipality. So they've collected this $165 million and they sold West Savannah, which is the blackest side of town, on this project. Hey, this is going to be an economic driver for your side of town, right? So far, it hasn't been anything but an economic destroyer. So there's a vacant lot there owned by, a white family in Savannah. And it's on my page. I'm not going to broadcast, people's names on my show because this is going off of Facebook. But the name is in the comment on a post I made this morning. So they offered this. They offered and awarded This white family who already has a lot of money and they have their hands in a lot of stuff around town, they're paying them $525,000 a year on a 100-year land lease for a vacant lot to put the parking lot on. Now, there are two black businesses that butt up against this property. They're right there. And everybody kind of knows, okay, yeah, they're going to have to move. Because if you know what an arena property looks like, it's massive. It's not just the building that you go visit the event on. It's parking and throughways and bike racks and restaurants and holding tanks and valet and service areas. You know, you got that, and then you got all kind of stuff, walk-ups and gardens and grass, and it's just a lot of stuff. So we know they're going to have to clear out probably, I'm not a developer, half-a-mile radius around the actual arena site. So we all know this. You know, this is not rocket science. But they gave one of the black property owners, they only gave him $300,000 for his gas station lot. They didn't offer him a land lease. And when the women on council, the four black women that are fighting the mayor, the black mayor of Savannah, they had to fight for him to get that because they weren't trying to even offer him that. So he sold his land. $300,000. He sold his land and his business. He now no longer has his business, which is his livelihood, something that he could pass on to his family to run so his kids don't have to work for the man. He sold. The other business owners sold. They're not getting $525,000 a year for a land lease, nor were they offered it. Now, let me do a little bit of math for you, and I'm going to hush and I'm going to let Dr. Teray chime in. $525,000 over 100 years. Now, it's supposed to be the first 5 years and then renegotiable after 5, right? That's still, what, $3 million? $3.25 million? It's a far cry from a business that could sustain this man's family and his grandkids and his kids' kids and his, so that he's been robbed because he didn't get the same economic opportunity. $52 million. This 100-year lease, Dr. Teray, in sum, totals $52 million. Now, we know what's going to happen. They're going to build this arena. It's going to drive up the cost of that land that they're leasing for $525,000, and those people are going to probably sell that sucker for about $10 million. We already know they're going to get, we already know this family's going to get probably upwards of $10 million out of this project. And the black business owners around there did not even get offered a land lease. Let me tell you something. Even if it wasn't but $30,000, they still should have got a land lease offer. Because after 10, 20 years, that's millions. That's generational wealth. It doesn't even compare to $525,000. Because after 2 years of that $525,000 payment, that white family has $1.5 million in their pocket. What say you, Dr. Teray? I'm going to yield the floor.
You're absolutely correct in that, and it's kind of shameful. And also some of the information that we had that one of the African American businesses, they negotiated with them in a relatively short time period, whereas it had been lingering, it had gone on with the Caucasian family. They had been negotiating with them for a long time, for a year or better with regards to, and then came to African Americans and say, hey, bam, you got to do this right here. And that's a part of the shameful thing. And I tell folks, why does this stuff happen? And now, one thing I'm saying, you say it's just in the South, but guess what? I have folks from the northern part of the United States, and they had conversations with me being on our journeys. They started saying they're trying to figure this out. Why in democratic cities that you have the poverty in democratic cities when you have black leadership there or progressive leadership? Why is this happening? Why are black people not progressing? And I go and say, guess what? This is happening across the entire country. But Savannah is an example of what is happening when I tell folks, when black folks feel beholden to other people. When you don't feel empowered, you feel like you have nothing, that you're beholden to other people. This is what you're going to do. You accept the crumbs and you accept the disrespect. And that was absolutely disrespect, and that it almost becomes, you talking about generational, it becomes generational for some of us with regard to the disrespect. Now, there's a group of us that do benefit. That is a smidgen of black folks who reap a benefit, and then they let their children get the generational wealth, but then the masses of people get nothing. That's the type of stuff that got to be addressed. We got to address black leaders who are afraid to be black leaders. And I tell folks this: African American politicians, and I throw in Latino politicians, especially Afro Latino politicians, when they are now freely operating, they are progressive. They make sure that everybody has equity. Everybody benefits from them when they're operating freely. But just because you have black faces, sometimes they don't have the heart, because again, like I said, psychologically, they feel that somebody else really is the power and don't even see it. So how can you tell me that you don't see the power of you in a city that is majority black, with a majority black city council, with a black clerk of council, when you have a black DA, when you have a black police chief? And now I'm gonna go back in time. We had the same scenario: majority black city council, majority black city. But then not only that, we had black city manager, we had black fire chief. So we had all this blackness right there in these leadership positions. And guess what? We did not create new millionaires. We still
None.
did not let the contracts come to us because we felt that somebody else will be better served. We felt that we just sitting there holding the seat to go and make other people feel well and feel good. And I used to share this about some black elected officials in the city of Savannah. I said that some of them are happy to be at the Italian club, the yacht club, the German club, to be able to drink wine with them, and then come back to us and tell us, well, there's some plans. When I'm by saying the plans should not be done by them. You need to be making the plans. You need to direct the city employees on what we want to have done for us. And so many of us are lacking. And that's why I say this fear that we have, and that the fear is not really a fear that is even necessary for us to have. It's a fear that's been put in our minds that we now allow this to continue to happen, as opposed to standing up. People respect you when you stand up and show your humanity. We
You
also,
know what? Yeah.
yeah, and when we stand, when we refuse to stand up and show our humanity, it becomes a problem. And I tell folks, not only my humanity, but I show my Africanity. That's what I got to be about, because then I'm saying you got to respect me, because there are some nuances tied to me that you got to respect that will help you also. But then guess what? If I feel like I'm subservient, then I let it roll like that. And that's what's going on. We have leadership that feels subservient, and it's not just, I'm saying, not just political, it's in all areas, even our economic leaders. We didn't go and make the clamor and say that we demand respect with regard to even negotiation. The negotiation that went on, we needed to demand respect and say, wait a minute, we're not going to play this game with you. You think that I'm stupid, and I'm going to be stupid if I allow you to think I'm stupid. And I'm going to shut up for a second, but I want to throw something out there to you. In City Market, when the city of Savannah decided to change City Market in the 1990s into what we see being a tourist area, there was an African American family that had a business that the city of Savannah did a land swap with. And when that family went to open up their business, they couldn't open the business because they said the land was polluted. And this is the city of Savannah engaging in this chicanery. So this is not anything new. And I tell people, I'm like, yo, we telling y'all about this. We've been told y'all about this, but y'all acting like, like this is something brand new. We've been told you that's how they function. And so why don't you call them out? But again, that's that got doggone fear.
Yeah, and you know what's really sad? You know what's really sad is that we're so cheap. We're so cheap. We taking crumbs. We got, like you said, they just so happy to be at the Italian club, like pet monkeys. You so like little pets. I mean, they're so happy to be at the Italian club. I want to play a clip. Tell me, is this clip time? I want to play a clip for you guys. For those of you who are not from Savannah, I want to play a clip that's been circulating around on the Black mayor of Savannah, what he said on another show that's produced by ATR, when they said, Black people don't need no more task force because the task force ain't moving the needle on nothing. But we need a Black economic agenda. We need a task force to address the inequalities in Savannah. Because here's the thing: yes, the city of Savannah, like many, I'm going to be real honest with you guys. Most of the major metropolitan cities in the United States right now are majority people of color. The demographics have shifted. Chicago, Boston just got a black DA. New York, majority people of color. Um, all the major cities in the South: Atlanta, Charlotte, Augusta, Macon, Savannah, Jacksonville, all of them, most of them, majority cities of color. That's why we got so many black elected leaders in these cities. But then we don't have the progressive leaders like Letitia James, the attorney general in New York, and AOC is out there. She literally ran on a platform and said, why we got this white congressman representing us and we black and Latino? Get out of here. She ran against her own party. But I want to play this clip. Cara Murray, let's read Cara. Cara Murray says, there are 7 black city council members. 6 are declared Democrats. 1 white Democrat. Why is Savannah City Council not standing up for the black voters of West Savannah? That's a good question, Mr. Murray. He also says, I heard or read somewhere that you can buy a Negro politician for $1,500 in Savannah. Listen, and a lobster dinner and a ride on a private jet. Listen, they take you around. Listen, this is for the black elected leaders in the South. As soon as they invite you on that private jet, it's a trick. Don't you fall for it. Hey, good evening, Chandra McKeitha. And then CC Cook. CC is watching. Let's play this clip real quick. And let me know what y'all think about this. For those of you who aren't in Savannah, this is the mayor of Savannah literally doing his own show, addressing another show that was critiquing the uselessness of the task force. When the majority of Savannah is black, 90% of the wealth and generational wealth lies in the white community. The other 60% of the black folks, they work in the hotel jobs, they getting their properties taken through eminent domain. And now we know some black businesses are getting shafted on public projects, while the white families are benefiting to the tune of millions. Okay, so here we go. Let me share. I'm going to share this. And it's not the connection. This just was a grainy clip. I said that's because the ancestors didn't like this, so they made sure that wasn't. They made sure that that wasn't it wasn't clear when it came through. All right, let me make sure I got the audio shared for y'all. All right, here we go, folks. Y'all ready? what? What you? If we were to look, there's no audio. You guys couldn't hear it. Oh, let's try again. Hold on, folks. They said it was no audio. Hold on. I got Prince playing now. Let's see. Let's try it again. Can I try it again? Hang on. No audio. Hold on a second. They said no audio. Hold on. Let's try one more time. All right, we're going to try this one more time and see if we can get this up. All right, I hope y'all could hear that now. Did y'all hear that? Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Um, Apparently it's not meant for us to hear it tonight. But what he says is, I'm sharing the audio, so it's not meant to play it again. Apparently, basically, what this mayor is saying is, um, it's no sound at all. Yeah, I shared it. Could you hear it, Jamal?
No, I can't hear it. That's why I
Okay,
was
I don't know. Yeah,
almost.
okay, I don't know what's going on with that. I shared it, but basically, what the black mayor of Savannah says, when you look at Savannah as a whole, if we were looking at the marginalized community and the people who are the minorities, it would be white people. And if he created a white task force, we'd have a fit. And he said, look, I got this. Basically, like, I'm the Trump of Savannah. Stay out of my business because I got this. This is a man who uses I, me, I, me. Savannah's his little kingdom, and he is seduced by power. Um, I wish I could have done it. It's on my page. If you guys want to go to my page, it's also but I believe it's posted on the ATR page. You can go there and listen to it. But this is what our black leaders are saying. Our black leader is literally saying, in a majority black city in the South, because black people are the majority and white people are the minority in population numbers only, that they are the marginalized and they are the minority. Have you all ever heard anything so ludicrous that the wealthy, 90% of the wealth lies in the minority population white community in Savannah, but they're marginalized? What do you go what do you have to say about our mayor, Dr. Toure?
Well, now I have to go and say this. I don't ever go and attack the mayor personally. I tell folks, I know the mayor. I consider the mayor a friend. I consider, the mayor is my brother. So we down, we go back. So I don't attack him personally. And my thing is like, I don't get into no personal stuff, but I can talk about ideologies that I think that are wrong. Because again,
Yeah,
that's what
his politics. I don't think he's a bad guy personally. He's a likable guy.
So that's what I'm saying. So what I talk about, and that's why I try, because again, because I see all this stuff going with the personal stuff. I'm like, no, let's deal with the facts, and I'm focusing on the facts. And I tell folks, this is a part of propaganda, but this is part of propaganda of oppression. This is what oppressed people do. Oppressed people do stuff like that.
Yeah,
Oppressed people do stuff like that. When you are oppressed, that is how you think, and that's how you function. You throw that stuff out there, and that misguided people and apologists for oppression, like I share, folks,
mm-hmm.
that's how they function. That's what they think. That's what they put out there. And that's what I'm saying. So it's not just the comments of the mayor, but it's a whole bunch of other people that's behind the mayor who think just like that and think that is okay. And as
Yeah,
I shared on Sister Alicia's show, I shared that about racism. Now, some of us are uncomfortable about discussing what racism really is, and then this conversation about can black people be racist? Again, I'll throw it out there. I ain't gonna elaborate fully. Black people cannot be racist. Racism involves making sure that your group is superior to another group, and that other group is held down totally in all aspects. Black folks don't control none of that and can't do
nothing.
it in the United States. So, with that right there being said, like I threw out the folks, give folks some facts. Yo, check this out. Brookings Institute did a study and talked about how on the income with regards to our home ownership for black folks was bam. I think it was like a $400,000 difference compared to Caucasian communities. That's
Yes.
Brookings with regard to that. But then
Oh,
also,
I got a map I can show you. You ready to see it?
I got the map too. That's why I throw it out there. I'm like saying, so that's Brookings talking about home ownership values that we see a disparity. When it not comes to education, and this is not anything new. Let me just go and say this. What we saw, even when we just saw from Brookings, that ain't nothing new. That has been going on for decades here. That's been happening here. That's been happening since integration here for us. Education. Look at the educational level of our people and with regards to access and the movements that they're making with regards to education. Look at that, and it has not even got worse. And so I need to throw it out there and say this: that you got high school counselors that don't even tell some of our children about going to college. So that's the issue right there. Then let's look at the judicial system here. Look at how our people are punished with regards to that. That's marginalization. And then I threw out to let some people to show you how glaring this is, that we even people, the apologists who are trying to apologize for the system of racism, that if Eddie DeLoach can go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting when he was mayor of Savannah, this Caucasian man, he could go and address those Caucasian males who were right there, these business leaders, and they're sprinkling on black folks who are there. And if he could tell those folks there at that Chamber of Commerce meeting that there's a ring of poverty in Savannah, a ring of poverty, saying that we got this wealth right there in the tourist areas, but guess what? Just on that fringes of the tourist areas, you got poverty. Now check this out. If a Caucasian mayor can go and say that, and black folks in Savannah can justify and rationalize about Caucasians being marginalized, then that tell me right there, you ain't even real. It is ludicrous for me to even have a conversation with you because you're not even there. You are still somebody whose mindset ain't even there, not even real. So I'm like saying, yo, that's what's been going on. Look at banking in the city of Savannah. Look at banking for us. That again, the things that we had to go through with regards to even getting loans, even startup loans for our businesses, getting capital for our businesses. We see the disparities. And I'm not going to even get into about the CARES Act because that's still a continuation of what has been happening here. And I go and say strongly that we see it becomes even more glaring during integration. Segregation, we might not like it, but guess what? We had economic engines for us that we did in our own communities for us. We had more than one bank here. We had insurance companies that were owned by us right here. We had our mom and pop stores, but we had our grocery stores also, and we had
That's
our
right.
restaurants. We had our own tire stores. We had our own seafood markets. We got that going on right here doing integration, doing segregation. And so guess what? Today, let me go back. There was an African woman in Savannah, Georgia, who had a 300-seat vaudeville theater. Y'all vaudeville, again, a place you can put plays on. A 300-seat theater in Savannah. Guess what? We ain't got nobody got a 300-seat theater at all in Savannah. And don't come to me about the churches. I'm talking about a place where we can go and put out our own art forms. We ain't got to go to the trustee theater. We got our own places that we can go and do us and put us out there. And if other people want to come, we take their money too. And then also showcase our economic engine that's not in Savannah. And that's tied to, again, as I tell folks, when we see integration happening for us, guess what? It began to plummet. And we thought it was okay to go downtown on Broughton Street and go out to the mall. And we have our money going out there. But then also what we do too, we begin leaving our communities. And so in our communities, the only people left in our communities are poor people in some of our communities.
That's
People
right.
desperate. And so then who are the role models in the communities? Other poor people. That's not how it was for us back in the day. We had an entire gamut of us because again, integration was not about us giving up our own. Integration was about us just saying, hey, equal access. That's all that was about. And I tell folks that was the bad PR campaign. That's the nickname that I have for the bad PR campaign because we got misguided because you know what happened? Caucasian media made us not think that it was about us not giving up what was happening on West Broad Street, on Waters Avenue, and East Broad, and not going downtown solely to and out to the mall. And we gave it up. And we don't. And that's again, that's story. That's the Savannah story, but that's a story also tied around the country. And let's throw something out there to you, sister. And then what Carl Murray and some other folks were saying that what some people say this right here. That since we got our tourist areas, we got City Market, we got Broughton Street, we got River Street, and let me tell you what some people realize. They said that in the morning around 7 o'clock, 7:30, you should ride along West Broad Street or Bay Street and see the number of sisters and brothers who are walking out of Yamacraw, who are walking from the east side, who are now walking to work in those hotels. They said, Jamal, it is almost like people leaving the plant, leaving the quarters, going to work in the fields. And that again, I said, That is a visual that's happened in 2021, 2020, 2019, 2010, 28, 2008, 1996, and all that. That again, our people again are so marginalized, so poor that here go black leadership don't want to acknowledge it because see, we are fearful. We are fearful to talk about us and be real about it because see,
Yeah.
we want people to like us, and we think that they'll like us as long as we be quiet. No, it's not. People will
No,
respect.
no, it's not.
Right. It'll be people who want you to be quiet, but more people will respect you because now they know you are being a man or a woman.
That's right. I want to pivot a little bit, and here's a theory. Um, it's evident to me because I'm watching this chessboard. I'm watching these people play the long game. There's been a lot of talk all over the city about building more affordable housing, right? So there's this big battle over the fairgrounds, which is the last contiguous buildable 50 or so acres. It's about 70 acres total, but they say because of wetlands, it's only about 50 to 60 acres that actually can be developed. That's still a lot of land, right? It's the last contiguous large plot of developable land in the metro Savannah proper area. And they've been pushing this affordable housing thing. Now, I know that affordable housing gets a check, gets a regular check from the federal government, right, through subsidies. But here's one other theory I've been mulling around because I'm starting to look at how things are starting to unfold. It appears to me that they intend for this arena project they're going to clear out 40% of West Savannah. They're going to clear them out. And it seems to me like they keep pushing this affordable housing because they want somewhere to put those people who they extract that real estate wealth from. See, if they eminent domain and give you less than market value for your house, or they take your house and buy it for whatever little pennies they're going to give those folks, you got to have somewhere to go. I've been paying attention to that. I'm like, okay, they're building this almost 200 some odd unit affordable housing out at the end of 204 in Savannah. Then they want to put more. They got Savannah Gardens. They want to extract the wealth. They're going to take these people's properties, but they also want to have some place to put an endless supply of low wage domestic industry workers. And to me, it looks like a modern day plantation plan. See, what a lot of people don't know, and but you do, Dr. Teray, Savannah was the vacation come party soiree town. That's what everybody did. Everybody came during I call it the enslaved African era. People would travel from all over to come and go to the soirees, the parties, the hotels, and all the businesses owned slaves. The railroad had slave labor. The hotels had slaves. Everybody had slaves. The urban slaves who lived in the city. And it appears to me that they're trying to do that again. See, if we build this affordable housing, now we can clear them all out of West Savannah and we got somewhere to put them. They're not going to be homeowners. Grandma's house is gone now. Grandma's house can't get passed on to the kids and the grandkids. So the grandkids got to go live. All they do is work in hotels, cleaning beds, making beds. I heard that at one of those hotels, the management position's only paying $15, $16 an hour. Management is making what's about to be the federal minimum wage. They've got this plantation model. And then here's what sucks. They go to the city and they get a public municipal bond to fund the start of their project. Yeah, and then they
I'd say absolutely. You're correct.
And then so I want y'all to pay attention to this cycle, this crazy slave cycle. They go get public monies to finance their private project. Then they get the black folks in the city to go work for penance, for low wage, just barely above minimum wage. Those people's paychecks get taxed when they spend around town because the cost of all their goods and service goes to the tax coffers of the city. So you got people literally working and paying the people who they done subsidize the project to work in the project, to pay taxes, to pay the people to work the profit. They're literally paying for the low wage industry. It's a cycle. It's a cycle of slavery. And I don't think people are seeing this. I said they pushing this low income housing because they know they about to go there and clear West Savannah out. I'm sorry to have to say this. I love my West Savannah people dearly. They about to clear y'all out. Y'all not paying attention. The previous administration got that eminent domain. State law changed so that this could be easier to do. They about to come through there like a broom and sweep them folks out of there and pass them out penance for their real estate. And then they go stick them in that affordable housing so that they can have an endless supply of slave wage labor human capital.
I'll share something with you. This is going on. This is 5 years ago. I would take some students who work in part of City Savannah summer programs. The brothers would get me involved to do tours for them, to give them history and culture. Then I have other people, youth groups, doing history and culture folks. And so we'll ride over in West Savannah. Then I tell folks, I'll say to these young brothers and sisters, I say West Savannah is one of the most valuable neighborhoods in the entire city of Savannah. Here I said this is 5 years ago. I'm saying this is 5 and 7 years ago, just to let you know this. So when I'm saying this, some of the kids will say, "What? West Savannah? Someone from West Savannah?" I said, "What you all don't understand." And hear what I'm saying. 5 and 7 years ago, and even longer, I have been saying this to people. I said, West Savannah is valuable. And why is West Savannah valuable? And this is before the Weeping Time Project. This is before the Bartow, all this. I said, because guess what? What you got to understand, because again, when you look at not just here, but you look around the entire country, I said, West Savannah is close to, and I said, you can stroll, you can jog, you can walk, you can run from West Savannah to Broughton Street, City Market, and River Street. So for some people, that's what they want, because see, they don't want to drive back into the city. They don't want to drive downtown. So if you can stroll, you can jog, you can walk, that is better. So when there's a 4th of July, they can stroll and jog from West Savannah with their family. They can have their relatives come in and they can go enjoy the 4th of July celebration. They can enjoy St. Patrick's Day. They can just do a casual stroll. I said, so that's why you got to understand why you got to keep West Savannah as it is, but uplift West Savannah. See, that's a part of it. And so that's what the deal is. It's about gentrifying West Savannah. That's what it comes down to. Now, so people are going to get mad with me. There's a brother who knows this, brother Najee Enzi, and people who talk to me, or sometimes I go around traveling talking about this, I'll put it out there. So, Sister Alicia, what you were saying, modern day, this ain't no modern day. This is a continuation. So I'm going to throw out a name that some people don't want to talk about, and see, now knows that. And that's why I'm saying, going back to the days when Najee Enzi, Vic Cooper, Dwayne Ross, myself, and Mayor Van Johnson were at Savannah State, I used to go and tell them about stuff that I knew from Savannah history, because I used to do research. So I'm researching this. And so I told Najee about the Black elite in Savannah. And Najee put it out there. He said, listen, he said, I learned about the Black elite in Savannah going back from the 1900s, early 1900s, from Jamal Touré. And I tell people, I say, I can't even argue when he said that, because I know there's a history of the Black elite in Savannah not looking out for us. But there's something else. What happened, and I'm going to throw it out there, that's why some names of people, that why I talk about this, we celebrate certain people, we give them accolades, but what you don't understand, I'm saying like this, because I'm a JLA, I know the wonderful things, but I know the not so good things too. That's the job of the JLA. That's going back to Africa. So I tell folks, and some people realize, they say, shoot, Jamal bringing Africa to us on a daily basis. And see, most people don't even understand that, and they despise it. So I don't even care about it. That's why I say ain't no fear. That Frank Callens, y'all know Frank Callens in Savannah, Georgia.
The boys club, yeah.
The girls club. Now here go somebody gonna get mad with me right now. Julius Hall gonna get mad with me. A woman by the name of Sophronia Tompkins. People know Woodsville Tompkins High School, Sophronia Tompkins, the great principal, the great educator. Let me tell you what happened in the early 1900s.
Who tell us?
And Sophronia Tompkins, what they did for the Caucasian power structure in the city of Savannah, they made sure that Black folks had minimal jobs, that the Black women were trained to be domestics, to work in the homes of Caucasians. That's Sophronia Tompkins. They even had a building built and a structure built for them to train black women like that. Sophronia Tompkins. Frank Callens had it also set up for black boys to be trained to basically do manual labor stuff, and that is how they got money. So now here you go. That's why I tell people, see, you can't run up to on Jamal on stuff like this. That's why I say, see, y'all see me, you don't even say, some people, now I say this, people outside of Savannah, they like, yo, we call Jamal up and Jamal spitting stuff out at us that we ain't even realize. So I'm saying to you, Savannahans, Chatham Countyans, guess what? Sophronia Tonkin, Frank Callis, they perpetuated the system of, as you were saying, Sister Alicia, this modern day captivity mentality. They did that. And so that's why some of the mothers here and grandmothers here worked in these homes for these Caucasians, because that made the Caucasian benefactors in the city and power structures in the city of Savannah feel comfortable. That's why when I say the thing about feeling beholden, see, I'm just ain't talking about today. I'm talking about I have seen this in my own eyes personally, but then also researchers and knew that these people did that. So that's why I said I'll be giving them the props like that, because I understand the dastardly side to it. The people went to Tompkins High School got love for you, but you need to understand the origins of what Sophronia Tompkins also did. You need to understand about Frank Callis, because so when you fussing about stuff today, I'm like, y'all don't even understand. Your people tied to this right here. So it's a continuation, my sister. So all it is just an evolution of what they had done. But there had been a segment of us who fought against that, and that's what has been going on. So today when we see it, I'm looking at saying, yo, that is what's supposed to happen, because we got those Negroes who will be down with supporting that type of stuff, but you got these African people here who understand about fighting against them. Why? So we got to be down with our city councilwomen who fight on behalf of us, because other people are caught up into that mentality of Frank Callis and Sophronia Tompkins.
Yeah, yeah, that is interesting that you say that. It's almost like there's a spell over Savannah. If you want to get real deep with it, what do you think the problem is? You think I'm a big fan of yours, of course, but I'm also a big fan of Dr. Joy Degree Leary. Are we suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome? Is this feels even more deep than the nuances of how we treat one another when she talks about PTSS? Is this post-traumatic slave syndrome? What do we do to root these sour apples, these sellouts, these trustees? You know, my favorite term is bootlicking trustees. Is this a mental thing? What do you think is a problem?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I say absolutely. That's why I throw it out there and say that we feel beholden. That's what it's about. And that's why I'm going to talk about oppression. When you understand how oppression works, you realize it. And that, again, it is tied to trauma. It is tied to fear. That's why when people hear me talk about trauma, talking about fear, feeling beholden, that you feel inferior, that you think somebody else is better than you. And guess what now? What you got to understand, and it doesn't matter about what level of success that you have. You could be a stellar performer, but you still feel beholden that these other people got something better than you. You can be a black millionaire, and still yet you have an aspect to you and you can be black wealthy, and you still feel like these other people are better than you, because you then measure everything based on them as opposed to using your own self as a measurement. As I tell folks, you cannot come to me about no Western values. Don't come address me on no damn Western values. You address me on African values and African.
That's right.
That's for me. That's how you come. Don't come to me telling, well, see, we don't believe that. I said, that's oppression. I'm like, you get out of my face with that foolishness like that. That's some Caucasian females giving you that women liberation and feminism, but you not understand about African feminism. So I'm like saying, yo, don't come to me with their values. When you sit down with me, you talk to me about values coming from us. And so for some of us, even if we make money, we still look at them as being the standard bearers for us. So yes, it is post-traumatic slave syndrome. It is tied to the trauma from all of that, the psychological issues, feeling inferior, and also oppression. Oppressors will make you think that they are the victims, and that have the oppressed people go along with that. And what happens, you say, what do we need to do? We must call it out. When we see it, I tell folks this, and I just told some of my classes at Georgia Southern today, I said that what happens so often, we are so fearful of our friends, fearful of our families, of our lifestyle, that is the people that we're around, our churches, and our political machine that we, a philosophy that we have. We are fearful to call them out. And I said, guess what? If you don't call them out, then you're going to have genocide committed against people. And I'm
Yeah,
saying, you have genocide occurring against people because people sat silent. What it is, I said, you cannot sit silent. You must fight it. And that all the fighters must come together and fight. Because again, because you got the people who will sell you out. I'm not saying that's not just unique to African people. Guess what? John McIntosh them did that with the Cherokee in Georgia when they gave that land. Again, John Ross them. And then guess what? Some Native American Cherokees, what they did? They assassinated them jokers. Because again, you gotta fight this type of stuff. That some of them will sacrifice themselves for their people. Are saying, listen here, this Eastern Band of Cherokee, we're gonna fight. And then someone said, the U.S. government said, "Hell, check this out. We'll let y'all stay, but y'all gotta give it y'all leaders." And them leaders say, "Check this out. We will allow ourselves to be sacrificed for our people." See, that's what I'm talking about. Some of us don't want to sacrifice nothing. Sometimes, ain't you got to sacrifice your
that's
life.
right.
It's doing the sacrifice of doing the work of showing that you're not afraid. And so some of us are so afraid that we sit back and say nothing. We become complicit to the oppression, to the degradation, and to the violence that happened to our people. This economic violence, political violence, social violence, religious violence, cultural violence, educational violence, and something here go. Ivan Cohen throughout that he's absolutely correct. You have people who went to HBCUs who are high school counselors, but then don't have people even think about going to HBCUs. That's again, they feel secondary. They don't feel good about themselves. That you feel good about yourself. You want people to experience what you experience and understand it and applaud your blackness, your Africanity.
I watched a thank you for that, Dr. Trey. You are you I love it. Listen, I watched a documentary the other day, a little mini documentary by a woman I follow on YouTube. I encourage all black people to go and subscribe to the Dr. Mumbi show, Dr. Mumbi Saraki on YouTube. She said she brought up something very good. She says the African is the only race of people on the planet whose ancestors they deem are evil.
Mm.
She said they have colonized our minds on a global landscape to have us demonize our own ancestors. Everybody else is calling and honoring their ancestors, but we the only people that think that, we call it ancestral worship, to do libations and to honor the ancestors and to call forth the African spirit and think we are the only people who think our ancestors are satanic and the devil. But you got Southeast Asians, they got their Buddhas up. Now we'll go sit in a nail shop with other races of color and they idols and they Buddha, sit there and call idolatry, satanic, but we're gonna go let them touch intimate parts of our body. But when we try to bring them our roots like you do, the African way of doing things, we're the only people that's convinced that, oh my goodness. Now we bury our ancestors, put them in the ground and create shrines for them and go back and bring them flat. Like we literally are from a culture of ancestral veneration by way of graveyards. That ain't nothing but an ancestor altar. You keep somebody's unanimated corpse in the ground and keep going back and honoring it. But for whatever reason, to call on their ancestors and to honor them and venerate them to come and help us through this stuff, we decided that that's Satan.
Oh, actually, I tell you this: that it just ain't. See, it's just not the cemetery. You go into some African American homes, you see pictures all on the walls. That's an altar. That's a shrine. See, again, you got to understand how it evolves. When people got the pictures all on the walls, that's what they're doing. Then they got pictures of family members who are no longer here, a grandmama, a great grandmama, and they got pictures all, and they got the grandbabies and all the. That's manifestation, and we do that. Now I'm gonna throw it out there. Bishop Turner, one of my heroes, Bishop Hiram McNeil Turner. He's the first Southern bishop of the AME Church. Bishop Turner preached a sermon in the 1800s, which he said, God is an African. And people said that he was crazy. And he talked about this. He said, people say I'm crazy that I say God is an African. He said, All people on the planet Earth identify the divine with themselves except for the Negro. He said, as long as the Negro think that God is white, they shall always think that the devil is black and think that they favor the devil. So Bishop Turner said, you can continue to call me crazy that I think God is an African or God is a Negro. He said, you can continue to call me. And guess what? That man was the one who began to ordain women in the AME church. He was the one saying we got to also go back to Africa and say that we have a right to be in Africa. We have a right. And that the buckradom, it said, just like that, using that Gullah word.
The buckra.
The buckradom, and he's talked about having the thunderbolts coming down on these people for the oppression that they're engaging in. And he was like, I got the Bible in one hand and a revolver in the other hand. See, it wasn't about no turn the other cheek. And glad people thought that sometimes, folks gonna say this is about money. It ain't about sometimes it ain't even about no money. Some of them jokers don't even get money because look at black politicians here. Do you see them really getting money? They're not like, excuse me, let me go through an example out there. They are not like John Recycles, the former mayor of Savannah, who basically caused them now to change the policies. John Recycles was mayor some 20 years. And so that's when they say, we're not going to have term limits. But guess what? John Recycles made money. But guess what?
Oh.
Black politicians don't even make money. They just happy. That's why I'm going to throw it out there. They just happy to be in the atmosphere of power just to talk about it. So they don't even get shiny things. They don't get the dollaros. They don't get no Lucci. They don't get no Lucero. They don't get none of that.
They getting steak dinners and a ride on a jet. Cause
peanuts. That's all. Cracker Jacks. That's it. And then come back to the community like they done did something. And then what the sad part is that the community want to go and name something after them. When I'm like, get on out of here with that craziness like that. You're not even a self-respecting person. And so that's why we have to call them out and call out those actions of those people. Because again, it's all a part of oppression and trauma and being inferior. That's what it's about. So if they got some money, I can understand that. Be like, okay, that joke got some money.
I know they don't even leave. Roy Jackson told me one time, he said, or maybe we were on a panel at the Hungry Club, and he said, black people leave office and we're no better off.
Exactly.
In fact, in many cases, we worse off.
Exactly. And that's
he said, what are we doing?
Study the people. I'm saying again, that's what I mean. I'm not saying look at them. Look at the black elected officials and see how they're living off their retirement. Look at some of them, and now here you go. When you got black elected officials who talking about they're running for office to help their retirement plan. So those are the problems. Like I said, so they don't get nothing. You might think they're getting something. They ain't even getting nothing. They ain't getting no economic benefits. Now you might have a smattering, just a smidgen of a couple of them, but the overall masses are not. But they go along with the system of oppression, the system of looking out for those other people so the chamber can be wealthy, Cedar can be wealthy, and their friends and their cronies. Because I tell folks, when you talk about that arena project, what people better realize, the people in Brickyard, they better understand what possibly can happen. Brickyard is a community. We talk about West Savannah. Brickyard is right there closer to the arena than West Savannah. And Brickyard is about to not be here also because the Georgia Port got some plans also. And see, we're not having those conversations. Brickyard now saddled by the arena, Georgia Port. So what will happen then? Those folks then move out. And I have to throw this out there that people keep talking about affordable housing. No, we need to change the entire dynamics right now. It don't need to be affordable housing. We need to have income-based housing. Income-based housing. That's the move that we need to be talking about because some places around the country, that's what they're not talking about. Income-based housing. So again, based on a person's income, they can still have a decent house. They can still also look at becoming homeowners. See, when we talk about affordable housing, I'm like, get out again. I'm saying get out of that mindset about affordable housing. We now need to make the clarion call for income-based housing. So that way, even if they might be getting minimum wage, that will not preclude them from becoming a homeowner. Then they utilize that they capitalize off of now using that, getting some equity that can parlay into something else for our people. But guess what? We ain't got people talking about that too much. And that's why now on your show, my sister, I'm putting it out there because I ain't even doing no one tell that. I wanted to come to you and say, bam, income-based housing. That's
Yes.
the we need to be talking about, income-based housing. That ain't got to be affordable housing, income-based housing. So even that person with that $12,000, $12,000 salary, for the year, that they can still find something with regards to governmental programs that are in place that help people like that. Because they're out there right now, but ain't nobody even trying to look at that. You keep talking about affordable housing. Like, come on, income-based housing to solidify communities.
And you know what the problem is? A lot of politicians in the South, and here's what's really sad, and I've been talking about a lot of groups about this. Black people get into office and they don't fight for the policies that will create equity. See, that's a policy thing. That's a policy thing, Jamal. Like they're so busy glad handing, posing for pictures, showing up for churches for the photo op, Facebook Live and updating, just tap dancing, dead eye tap dancing. Oh, here I am, I'm in office. You know, they're so busy with the fanfare and the pageantry. They're caught up with pomp and circumstance, and they're not looking at the policies, because most marginalization is policies. Now, a lot of it's racist. This land lease deal in Savannah, and we're just over time, but this land lease deal in Savannah, that's just straight up economic violence and racism and cronyism. Because with public monies, if you offer one private landowner a land lease, you gotta offer them all. That is what equity looks like.
That's right.
But I want you to come back. We are out of time. I wanted to give you the floor. I definitely want you to come back, Dr. Teray. You are putting out some great knowledge out there. I don't know if we need to start a campaign to help our Black elected leaders with what equitable policy looks like, so that we can try to alleviate this marginalization.
Yes.
And I want to leave everyone. It appears that income and affordable. Well, listen, that's why we got to educate our people. But I want to leave the audience with this one word tonight. I want you to pay attention the next time you go to the ballot box. We have got to stop voting on our emotions, on popularity, on fanfare, pageantry, and vanity. We must start examining our elected leaders' platforms for real policy, because policy is where the marginalization begins. Long-term Jim Crow policy is why we are still fighting to this day. So until we start to pay attention to the policies that these people who want your vote are supporting, we're nowhere. Get educated, get civically engaged, quit following social media memes that are just keeping you distracted on what's going on in the White House, because all politics is local. You got to start getting involved in your city, your county commissions, and your state legislatures. For those of you, we didn't get a chance to cover this tonight, pay attention to what's going on in Georgia right now. HB 531. They want to marginalize the Black vote in Georgia. This is retaliation. And they literally have gone to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, why are you trying to suppress voters in your state? And they said, the GOP, they said it's the only way we can win elections.
Yep.
They have said that. They're not even hiding it anymore, you guys. You guys understand me? Are you hearing me? The GOP has told, the GOP officials in Georgia has said to the Supreme Court, the only way we can win elections is to restrict this excessive access to the ballot box. They also are trying to ban outside nonprofits from coming in to your state and funding campaigns. They're trying to suppress good Black candidates and they're trying to suppress the vote. So pay attention, you guys. All politics all politics is local. Any parting words for the audience, Dr. Teray? Please come back. We got to hear from you. Any parting words before we get out of here?
We're down that we have to work together. That why Umoja is essential for us. And when I say we have to work together, I'm saying the people who want to see change, we work together. That's what we do. And we use any methodologies for us to work together to make it happen. We don't sweat because I ain't sweating certain people about it. Because again, I know where you want to go. So that we need to work together because we got to work together against those people who are our enemies.
Yes, we do. Hey, you guys are watching this on ATR Black Media Network. Go out, like, share, subscribe. We are ATR Black Media Network on YouTube. We are All Things Relevant Media on Facebook. We're trying to build something big here. We're going to bring you news that you can use. And sometimes, if you ain't doing right by our people, we just might give you the blues. It's been a great. Thanks for coming on, Dr. Trey.
Appreciate you, sister. Yes, man. You looking more like your daughter. You looking more like your daughter.
Oh, that means I'm Asian and inverse. Oh, stick around. I'll debrief with you.